Toyota says that thanks to spectacular profits on internal combustion engine vehicles, it is cutting EV production forecasts by 40%. Right now I'm looking at Kodak's profits. Well, here's the thing, guys. In the year 2005, Kodak made a lot of money, an incredible amount of money. Fast forward only 7 years, from 2005 through to 2013. Kodak that year made, well, nothing. What does that tell you about what can happen if you have a little bit of hubris and you don't pay attention to market trends? Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments. Hello and welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. As you all know, I believe the EV revolution is here, and I don't believe it matters that much what Toyota say. It's happening. And if you look at the current trends of technology, you see the new things that are right on the horizon. These include much cheaper batteries with higher energy density that can charge much faster, much lighter vehicles, gigacastings, structural battery packs, right? LM3P battery, M3P batteries, sodium-ion batteries. There's a lot of technology coming. Lighter, high-strength steel. Lots of innovations coming to reduce the weight, cost, and complexity of EVs and to give them more range. They will be so compelling by 2030 that I believe Toyota will be forced to look back on 2023 when it had its Kodak moment. Now, within the last week, the former CEO and the current president, self-appointed president, I should basically add, Akio Toyoda, the grandson of the founder, has said, "I told you so. EVs, we're not going to take off like everyone believes. They're not the solution." In fact, he's sticking to his hydrogen ideas, whether that's a hydrogen engine or a hydrogen fuel cell vehicle, doesn't matter. They're both better than EVs, according to him. And now, Toyota has lowered their electric vehicle sales expectations for this fiscal year by 40%, well, to be exact, 39%, from an initial 202,000 units to only 123,000. Out of 10 million sales, that's pretty tiny. As far as I know, the Toyota Group doesn't yet have even a single dedicated EV production line. They don't. They actually build the BZ4X on a production line with a series of other different types of cars. Now, that's kind of not true if you look at their EVs in China that they don't actually make. They're predominantly BYD vehicles. But anyway, FAW, BYD. That said, last year, only 0.27% of Toyota's vehicle sales were fully electric. And hey, they did well last year, right? So surely this gravy train will last forever. Well, that's what Toyota firmly believes. I am still quite surprised that they legitimately do believe this, but I think they really do. That's something that I've had to kind of come to terms with myself. Anyway, Toyota, of course, is one of the biggest automakers in the world. In fact, technically, it's selling more than anyone else, so it's the biggest right now. That said, it has very few electric cars. So it's not really that big of a surprise that Toyota has been manufacturing as many internal combustion cars and hybrids as it can in order to, well, make hay while the sun shines, I guess you could say. The Toyota Group predicted that its operating profit would match a record high level of 3 trillion yen, which is 20.1 billion. But with its latest financial report, that prediction has gone to 30.15 billion. Now, these numbers are actually not what they sound. It's quite complicated because some of that is due to the weakness of the yen. So it is a little bit of a temporary stimulus measure that happens when currency fluctuations change. But either way, the truth is, objectively speaking, Toyota will make a lot of money this year. Does that mean, though, they'll be making a lot of money in 2030? Well, I'm curious to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments. This year, Toyota wants to sell 3.6 million hybrids worldwide. Now, the majority of those hybrids don't even use lithium batteries. In fact, they use nickel metal hydride batteries, which are a heavy, a pretty old technology, but no one seems to care about that. That is up from their previous number of 3.5 million. So 3.5 million hybrids to 3.6 million. But EV sales, of course, will be going down. Now, that number does actually include EVs, hybrids, plug-in hybrids, and hydrogen fuel cell vehicles, but they don't sell very many of the latter two types of vehicle. But they say those numbers will reach 3.9 million, up 42% from the previous financial year. They say that electrified vehicles, we don't know if that means fully electric or not, will be approximately 35% of their production in 2030. What will be the other 65%? Not too sure on that one. Anyway, Toyota and Lexus are expected to manufacture a record 10.1 million vehicles this year. The outlook for consolidated global retail sales has gone up to a record 11.4 million units in the current fiscal year. Of course, a lot of those vehicles are sold in markets like Southeast Asia, and a lot of them are the lower priced vehicles. Now, Toyota does sell more premium cars like the Land Cruiser. They just don't sell very many of them. They sell a lot of things like the Toyota Corolla. In the last fiscal quarter, Toyota registered a rare double-digit operating profit margin of 12% worldwide, more than double the year before when it had a margin of 6.1%. And no one's really sure how they were able to double margins during that period of time, but we do know they don't yet make a profit on EVs. And that's one of the key reasons why they don't make many of them. Currently, the Japanese automaker has just a couple of EVs, and they've been pretty well lambasted by the press. Of course, it hasn't really been the press's fault that Toyota have advertised things such as range, which have been just so far off reality that Toyota was forced to do a recall, pretend that it was a bolt problem with keeping the wheels on the cars, and then end up actually changing the net battery capacity. Basically, they didn't have to give the vehicles more battery to use to get the ranges they were claiming. Even then, the ranges are still a bit short. However, they do have the BZ4X and the Lexus RZ. So that's about it. But in China, they've got the BZ3, which is kind of like a Corolla. It's primarily a BYD rebadged as a Toyota. Toyota do say, though, that they will have 10 new EVs by 2026 and solid-state batteries that will give their vehicles more than 620 miles of range and be capable of charging in about 10 minutes in 2026. They don't yet have a production line, though, for those batteries, so it remains to be seen if that will actually happen. I hope it does. It'd be fantastic if it did. I think Toyota would be able to sell a lot of those cars if they were available in 2026. But Toyota did make those same promises in 2014, said it would happen in 2019, 2020, 2021, and they were quiet for a few years after that. Anyway, Toyota Motor Corporation's Chief Financial Officer, Yuichi Miyazaki, said that hybrids help the company lay a solid financial foundation for the EVs that are in the pipeline. But that said, they don't plan on making their EVs even remotely similarly to the way that they make hybrids. In fact, they do now have a gigapress that they purchased from Tesla's supplier, which is Hydra in Italy. And they plan on making EVs much more similarly to the way that Tesla does. And that's entirely different to the way they make hybrids today, which are essentially internal combustion vehicles. Anyway, they said this: another major point is the careful timing of our investment decisions. Our comprehensive assessment of investments in EVs and batteries while considering the energy situation and infrastructure in each country, the evolution of technology and changes in actual customer demand has enabled us to achieve a strong financial foundation upon which we can promote investments for the future. Does Toyota actually have what they claim, a strong financial position today? Well, it is true that they've just made some record profits, which is really good if you simply assess the last quarter. But if you assess their overall total financial position, it's actually extremely precarious. It's looking a lot more like Nokia or Kodak than what people realize. Now, this sort of situation, right? Getting a big windfall is awesome. But here's the thing. Toyota still owes about 190 billion US dollars. It is technically the most indebted company on the face of the earth. Not the most indebted automotive company, the most indebted company, period. Now, a lot of automakers like Ford and Volkswagen Group, a lot of their debt is not as bad as it sounds because It's financial debt. In other words, they're like banks. They're lending to people who buy their cars, and then that's classified as a debt on their books, but then the people who bought the car pay them back and they make interest on it. It works out well for them. Now, that may be a bit more problematic now that people have started to default on car loans, but overall it's still not so bad. In comparison to Toyota's debt, 91% of Toyota's debt is non-financial debt. In other words, just purely bad debt. Now, Toyota claims, oh, don't worry about that because we have billions and billions of dollars of assets. We have so much stuff in assets that's irrelevant. Who cares about the debt? Well, here's the thing. Is that really true? Now, consider this. How much did it cost Toyota to build the factory that Tesla bought for peanuts? Fremont factory in California. Tesla paid about 10% of the price that it cost Toyota to build it. If those factories are really worth what Toyota thinks they are, why is Ford struggling so much to offload its European factories? Why is it that used car factories get sold for peanuts on the dollar if they're so valuable? I mean, have a look at some of the factories that BYD have acquired over the last 6 months in Brazil, in China. Well, they often pay an absolute fraction of the cost to simply manufacture them. I don't believe that Toyota's assets are worth as much as they're telling investors. Why? They don't make the cars of the future. General Motors has given us a very good idea of what it costs to retool a car factory to make EVs. They've said it costs $4 billion per factory. Now, if you think about it, Tesla says its new factory in Mexico, which will be one of the biggest car factories in the world, will cost $5 billion to build. But that includes all the infrastructure, robotics, production lines in order to build millions of cars. If it costs $4 billion to retool a factory, how much is the factory actually worth? Not much. But anyway, maybe Toyota can use some of these profits to pay off some of that debt and start building EVs. But I don't really think that's part of their plans. I could be wrong though. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you for watching.